I'm J.R. Church. Welcome to today's analysis of the news. We have this just in from Israel National News. The Temple Institute has begun building the sacrificial altar on Thursday, Tisha B'Av, a fast day, when Jews mourned the destruction of the temple some 2,000 years ago. So they have begun building the sacrificial altar. You know, the Temple Institute has built most of the tools to be used in the temple, and now they are building the sacrificial altar. It was located near the center of the temple compound, and upon it the priests offered various sacrifices as commanded in the Bible. The Temple Institute, which has already built many of the vessels of the Holy Temple, such as the menorah and other sacrificial instruments, has now embarked on the project to build the altar. Construction begins Thursday east of Jericho at Mizpah. This could be the place where the tabernacle was originally set up whenever the Jews crossed the Jordan River and came over and camped on the west side of the Jordan River before taking the city of Jericho. This Mizpah here is also a place in the scriptures where Samuel brought the people out to perform sacrifices, and that could be the spot referred to in the scriptures. Unfortunately, says Mr. Glick, who heads up this project, unfortunately we cannot build the altar in its proper place on the Temple Mount. The Temple Institute director said, "We are building an altar the minimum size possible, and so that we'll be able to transport it to the temple when it is rebuilt." In other words, they're building the altar now out near the Jordan River, east of Jericho, but they have hopes of transporting it to the temple site when the temple is built. He says that even a minimum size altar will work out to be approximately 12 feet tall, 18 feet long, and 18 feet wide. Workers have collected around 10 cubic meters of rocks, weighing several tons already. The rocks were gathered from the Dead Sea area, probably near the Jordan River inlet, and wrapped individually to assure that they remain whole and not touched by metal, as the Bible requires. He says the Torah says that no iron tools should be used on the altar's stones. He said the altar represents a connection to life and the creation of the world. Iron is the opposite. It is used to build tools of war, death, and destruction. If you recall, the Temple Mount, according to Jewish folklore or legend, this is not in the Bible, but the Jews believe that the Temple Mount is where God created the universe from. That he first took the Temple Mount, the rock there is under the Dome of the Rock, and he built from that everything there is in this world. And so that very spot is called the navel of the earth. In other words, from it springs forth life. Life, enters the baby at the navel, and that is in the center of the body, okay? So Jerusalem's Temple Mount is the center of the world and is the place where life began. The Jews believe that God created Adam on that spot. So he goes on to say, the stones will be cemented together with a mixture of sand, clay, tar, and asphalt. Researchers from the Temple Institute visited a glass factory to learn how to create a mixture which would remain as cool as possible under the altar's unremitting fires and protect the priesthood who always worked in the temple barefooted. Glick said that Tisha B'Av is a day associated with mourning, but it is really the ideal time to begin to build the temple. People mistakenly think that Tisha B'Av is only a day to cry, he explained. It also has to be a day of action. We have the ability in our era to begin the construction of the temple. He said there are many positive developments recently with regard to the temple. Hundreds of Jews have visited the Temple Mount this week, and more continue to come and undergo the ritual immersion. So the Temple Institute is building the sacrificial altar out east of Jericho, 12 feet tall, 18 feet wide, 18 feet long, to prepare for the day when they will move it to Jerusalem, to the Temple Mount. And of course, we don't know when that would be, but there is also news on the Temple Institute's website of the red heifer.